Iran's exchange, the rial, lose several 20% versus the US buck in 2 weeks as Iranians rush to fence versus amortization of their holdings. Several terror and inevitable crash of the nuke transactions and back of economical sanctions regime. We are meeting empty observer numbers go up. You cannot do industry while you begin the day in one bet and end in else, Ismail Kazemi, an Iran coffee import, told in a telephone urge of his office space in polar Tehran. Top is to do anything before the powder settles, he added. In the overseas exchanging marketplace it has been more than of a sandstorm for the history few weeks. The Iran exchange, the rial, lose 8% versus the buck in one day the 1 week. On Monday overnight by the government step in, removal, the inconsistency among the exchanging bet utilized by traders, 60,000 rials to the buck, and the formal bet, previous 37,000. The new solitary bet has been set at 42,000 rials to the buck. We do not recognize any sum bet, Iran's at first defect President Ishaq Jahangiri told on a deceased TV speak. Nobody trade at any sum bet will be deliberate as smuggling, he added. The old formal bet was expensive by the government, and thus bounded to imports of choose consumer goods how were recognized required. Fair the 1 week by the government told it could no much longer propose it to student overseas, and they now include to buy overseas exchange of the outdoor marketplace to pay for their training. In several $50 BN, Euro 40 BN, pound 35 BN, in oil supply, Iran's by the government is the major provider of difficult exchange to the economics. But down there is as well an outdoor marketplace of license exchanging offices and counterfeit road traders. While it comes to exchanging bet, the two include rarely sung of the identical anthem leaf. Iran uses its petrodollars for practically all its cost, of importing of main staples such as grain to war adventures in Syria. But down there is a cap on how lot of its difficult exchange it can distribute to cost deliberate opulence, such as Iranians traveling to Thailand for entertainment, or such who importing cosmetic. The is wherever the outdoor marketplace comes in, ever at a high cost. Uniting the two rates is a 40-year-old vision. But it is not the at first period how Iran has tested to strength a solitary bet. In January 2012, Iran's center banking set the exchanging bet of the US buck at 12,260 rials time the importance the rial on the outdoor marketplace was on part how. The as-called united bet lasted just a few months. Iran was later charged of chasing a nuke arms program and the economics was crumbled by world sanctions regime how bounded its oil supply. While you set a by the government enforced solitary bet, you include to be capable to supporting he, says an Iran political economist who planned in the by the government and wishes stay nameless. Iran's by the government did not include endless coffers of difficult exchange later and nor does it include currently. Iran's trading balance sheet is in fact wholesome. In addition petroleum, it as well has several $40 BN of as-called non-oil supply. The nation imports $50 BN cost of consumer goods and services each year. The major issue is earning the exportable revenue behind to Iran. Though largest world sanctions regime were raised in 2016 next the nuke transactions, down there is yet no main world banking how will job in Iran. Iran's tensions in Israel and Saudi Arabia are growing above Syria and Yemen. And in Washington, down there is a CEO who thinks how the Iran nuke transactions has fatal faults. CEO Donald Trump card has requested Europeans to each fix the transactions or see the US keep the consent following monthly. If the transactions collapses, simplex US sanctions regime versus Iran's power and banking business sectors could back. How is why Iranians include a famine for difficult exchange. Down there are, though accountable of equity flying in several Iranians purchase holdings in neighboring countries, afraid a war confronting in Saudi Arabia, Israel, or the US. And how is why by the government is careful in conducting its cash. It is not precise if the Iran by the government will gambling by discovery the floodgates of its reserves at the new as-called united bet, or if it will once again be bounded to choose groups of buyers love students and businessmen. At the end of the date, he's on who you aware, Mr. Kazemi, the Iran coffee import says. We aware several human beings in the law places.